The signal came on a quiet evening. Most of the galaxy had grown used to strange signals, background noise from dead planets or abandoned satellites, but this one was different. It was clear, steady, and filled with pain. It begged for help. Across distant stars, many civilizations heard the call. They looked at the signal, studied it, and moved on. It came from a dying world at the edge of the known universe. It's too far, too risky, too hopeless, but not for Earth. Earth had a different name in the galaxy. They called it a death world. Its storms were violent, its animals deadly, and its people strange. Humans were known for surviving anything. They were hard, clever, and full of fight. In a quiet command room deep under Colorado mountains, the signal was decoded. The message came from a species called the Zari. They were once a peaceful race of builders and thinkers. Now they were hiding underground, afraid and broken. Something had destroyed their cities and was coming back to finish the job. Most world leaders ignored the signal, but a group of humans did not. They met in a small room, not in power, but in spirit. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, and one pilot. They did not talk much. They just looked at each other and they knew. Ethan Cole stood first. He was a soldier, once part of a special unit. He had seen wars and lost friends. Now he wanted to fight for something bigger. Beside him was Claire Morgan, an engineer who once helped build the first fusion ship. Nathan Brooks, a quiet man with sharp eyes, was a strategist. Lily Hart, young but brave, was their pilot. They called their ship Odyssey. It was small, old, and had seen better days. But it had heart, and they trusted it. With some help from old friends and hidden funding, they made it space-ready. People thought they were crazy, going to help a dying race in a far corner of space. But they did not care. They knew what it meant. If no one answered the call, then maybe one day the same threat would come for Earth. Odyssey launched into the dark. Space was cold and wide. The crew kept busy, training and learning. They studied the Zari language and mapped the system they were heading toward. Sometimes they would look at the stars and wonder what waited for them. Weeks passed. Then they reached the edge. The planet of the Zari was dark. Once it had oceans, forests, and bright towers. Now it was mostly ash. The sky was full of broken ships and satellites. Nothing moved. Odyssey landed near a mountain range. Scanners showed life deep below. The team geared up and went down. Old tunnels led them to a hidden shelter. The walls were cracked. The lights flickered. Then they saw them. The Zari were small and thin. Their skin was pale and their eyes large and tired. They looked at the humans with fear and hope. They spoke slowly, their voices shaking. They told the story of machines. Not normal machines, but ones that fed on worlds. Metal insects that ate everything. They had come without warning. Zari had tried to fight, but their weapons were weak. Their allies had run. Only a few survived. Ethan listened. He did not smile. He did not speak much. But when the Zari asked if the humans had come to save them, he said yes. Not because they were heroes, not because they were better, but because someone had to answer. Well, answered Deathworlders always answered. The tunnels under the mountain were deep and narrow. Old lights flickered as the humans followed the Zari through the broken paths. The air was heavy and filled with dust. No one spoke much. Every sound echoed for miles. The Zari shelter was bigger than it looked from the outside. Behind thick doors, hundreds of survivors lived in silence. Children clung to their parents. Old ones sat in corners with blank stares. They had lost much. Claire looked around the shelter. She saw old machines, many broken. She knelt beside one and checked the wires. "We can fix some of this," she said. Lily nodded and started pulling tools from her pack. Ethan met with the Zari leaders in a small room. The walls were covered in maps and screens, most of them dark. One Zari stepped forward. His name was Selen. He wore a torn uniform and had deep scars on his face. "We called for help many times," Selen said. "You were the first to come. Why would Deathworlders care about us?" Ethan looked at the maps, then back at Selen, because no one else did. Selen showed them the last recorded images of the swarm. The machines were black and sharp, flew like insects and crawled like spiders. They had no faces, no voices, only hunger. They fell from the sky like a storm and tore cities apart. They do not speak, Selen said. They do not stop. Nathan leaned closer. What powers them? Who built them? We do not know, Selen answered. Some say they are old weapons. Others say they come from beyond the stars. The team returned to the Odyssey that night. Claire and Lily worked on upgrading the ship with parts from the Zari. Their energy systems were different, cleaner, and faster. Claire smiled as she connected a glowing blue core. This will help. Lily sat in the pilot's seat, testing the new systems. This feels smoother already. Nathan and Ethan stayed in the command room. They looked over the battle reports and old Zari data. Most attacks came in waves. The swarm would land, feed, and move on. But the Zari homeworld was different. The swarm had stayed longer, as if waiting. They're coming back, Ethan said. And we have to be ready. Over the next few days, the humans trained the Zari. They set up small firing ranges and showed them how to use simple weapons. The Zari were slow at first, but they learned quickly. It'd been peaceful too long, but now they had no choice. Ethan led the drills. He moved with calm control, showing the Zari how to hold a rifle, how to move as a team. Claire built small shields using Zari energy tech. Lily worked with young Zari pilots, teaching them how to fly basic drones. But Selen watched all of it. His eyes, once tired, began to light up. You fight like fire, he told Ethan. We were not ready for war. We thought peace would protect us. Ethan shook his head. Peace is good, but only if you can defend it. One night, while the crew rested in the Odyssey, an alert rang through the shelter. A scout drone had picked up movement in the sky. Something was coming. Ethan stood on a ridge and looked up. The stars were clear. Then, one by one, lights appeared. It's not stars, not ships. Black forms dropping from orbit. They're early, Nathan said. We thought we had more time. Then we fight now, Ethan replied. As alarms echoed across the shelter, the humans and Zari prepared. The Odyssey powered up, its new systems glowing. Zari fighters rolled out from deep bays. The drills were over. The real test had begun. And for the first time in years, the Zari were not alone. The Deathworlders had come, and they were ready to burn the swarm to ash. The night sky was full of fire. Its black swarm had returned, falling like a rain of metal. The Zari shelter shook as the first blasts hit the ground far above. Dust fell from the ceiling. Children cried. Warriors held their weapons tight. On the surface, Ethan stood with his team. The Odyssey was ready, its new energy shield glowing faint blue. Claire ran final checks on the weapon systems. Power levels stable, she said. We can hold them for a while. Lily sat in the cockpit, her hands calm on the controls. She took a deep breath and locked onto the first wave of swarm units. Ready for launch. Ethan turned to the Zari fighters, who stood behind sand walls and energy towers. They looked nervous, but not weak. You trained for this, he told them. Hold the line, fight smart, protect your people. The first swarm creatures hit the ground like falling stones. They were tall and thin, with sharp limbs and red lights for eyes. They made no sound. They ran fast. Claire fired the ship's plasma cannon. Blue fire tore through the first group. Zari shooters followed, guided by Nathan's calm commands from the hill. Aim for the joints. Stay low. Move after every shot. At first, the plan worked. Wave after wave hit the wall and broke. The new Zari shields held strong. The Odyssey hovered above, blasting from the air. But the swarm changed tactics. They split into smaller groups and dug into the ground. Then they came up from behind the lines. Ethan grabbed his rifle and ran to the rear. He moved fast, eyes scanning. 3 Zari had fallen, and more were trapped. He jumped into the fight, using short bursts and strong strikes. Claire joined him, holding a small shield device that blocked the swarm claws. She pulled a wounded Zari to safety. We need more cover here. Nathan called out, coordinates. Claire. Left side. 2 more breaking through. On it, she said, throwing a pulse bomb. The ground shook again. This time, a huge form dropped from the sky, taller than the rest, armored, faster. It moved toward the main shelter gate. Lily saw it from the air, big one coming in. I need backup. Ethan looked up. Take it out. We'll hold the gate. Lily flew low and fast. The swarm giant raised its arms, firing red beams at the sky. Odyssey took a hit, but held together. Lily fired a plasma shot into the creature's chest. It staggered. She looped back, aiming for the head. The second shot hit. The giant fell with a crash. Below, the battle turned. More swarm units were breaking. The Zari, once afraid, now moved with purpose. They fought with fire and grit. They had learned from the humans. Ethan stood among them, blood on his arms, but eyes clear. "Push forward," he shouted. "Don't give them ground." The swarm began to pull back. For the first time, they were retreating. Nathan watched the scanners. They're falling back beyond the ridge. They're not used to losing. Selen came up beside Ethan, breathing hard but smiling.
Did it?
We stood our ground. "This is just the start," Ethan said. "They'll be back. But now they know we're not weak." Night turned to morning. The field was full of broken metal and burned ground. Zari walked among the ruins, helping the wounded, fixing what they could. The Odyssey landed near the shelter. Lily stepped out and smiled at her team. "We held them," she said. Claire sat down, tired but proud. "And we'll do it again if we have to." Nathan looked at the sky. "I'll send more, bigger, smarter, but now the galaxy will see. Deathworlders don't run." Ethan said nothing. He just looked at the people around him. Zari, the humans, all working together. One battle was won. The war was still waiting. But they had lit a fire. No, it would not go out. Days passed after the battle. Zari worked day and night to rebuild what they could. The shelter walls were repaired. New towers were raised. The wounded were treated. But everyone knew this was only a short break. Ethan and his team met in the Odyssey's command room. Maps and data covered the screens. Swarm movements were being tracked. They were not leaving. They were gathering again. "They're testing us," Nathan said. "They want to learn how we fight." "Then we change the rules," Ethan replied. "We stop waiting. We take the fight to them." Selen entered the room. He listened quietly, then stepped forward. "There is an old station in the northern mountains. It was once a power hub. Now it is in swarm hands. They use it to recharge and send commands." Claire looked at the map. "If we take that out, we slow them down. You stop the next wave." Ethan nodded. "Then that's where we go." They gathered a strike team, 10 humans, 20 Zari. They moved at night. Odyssey flew low over the hills, covered in shadows. The mountains rose like teeth against the sky. Cold wind howled through broken rocks. Lily set the ship down behind a ridge. The team moved on foot. Silence followed them. The old station was huge and dark. It hummed with strange energy. Swarm creatures crawled across its walls like insects on a hive. Nathan pointed. "We hit the center. That's the brain." "Claire, you plant charges?" Lily, cover from above. Claire moved fast with 2 Zari engineers. They found weak spots and placed the bombs. Inside the station, strange machines pulsed. They looked alive. Outside, Ethan led the main team. They fought through the swarm guards. Rifles flashed in the dark. The Zari moved with purpose. No one ran. Claire gave the signal. "Charges set, ready to blow." "Fall back," Ethan said. They pulled back through the rocks. Swarm units chased them, but Odyssey flew in low and blasted the path. Lily's aim was sharp. The team made it out. "Oh!" Ethan hit the trigger. The mountain lit up. Fire and light exploded from the station. Swarm bodies flew through the air. Back at the shelter, everyone watched the blast on screen. Cheers filled the room. "They'll feel that," Selen said. "They'll come harder next time," Claire replied. "Let them," Ethan said. "We're not done yet." Later that night, a message arrived. Not from the swarm, but from another world. A peaceful race called the Valari sent a signal. They had seen the battle. They wanted to help. Other signals followed. Small offers, quiet voices, but they were coming. The galaxy had noticed. Nathan smiled. First they watched. Now they speak. Soon they will stand. But trouble was near. Scouts reported a massive swarm fleet heading toward the planet. Bigger than anything before, the machines were angry. They had been hurt. Now they wanted to crush everything. Ethan called a meeting. "This is it. They come to finish us. We fight or we fall." The shelter was cleared. Defenses were set. Zari and humans stood side by side. Claire and Lily worked through the night to power up every cannon. Nathan placed traps in the valley paths. Selen prepared the last of the old Zari mechs. As dawn came, the sky turned black. Hundreds of swarm ships fell toward the land. They screamed through the clouds. Ground shook. Lights flashed. But this time, the line did not break. The first wave hit steel and fire. Odyssey soared above, leading the charge. Lily's voice came through the comms. Hold strong. Burn them down. Zari mech stomped forward, heavy legs shaking the dirt. Claire fired from the hill, taking out a swarm flyer. Ethan fought at the front, rifle in hand. Every inch was earned. Swarm bodies piled up. The machines did not care. It just kept coming. But so did the humans, and the Deathworlders would not fall. Not here. Not now. The battle lasted for hours. The ground was covered with smoke and fire. Broken swarm machines lay everywhere. The sky was full of ash. Still, the machines kept coming. They crawled, flew, and rolled toward the shelter. But the defenders did not fall. Ethan stood on a pile of rubble, shouting orders. His voice was calm but firm. He moved from point to point, helping where the line was weak. His uniform was torn, and blood ran down his arm, but he kept going. Claire was deep in the power core, keeping the shields alive. Sparks flew around her. "We're holding," she said through the cum. "But if the main tower goes, we're done." Lily circled above in the Odyssey. The ship had taken many hits. Warning lights blinked all over the board, but she kept flying. "Targeting heavy unit near the north gate," she said. Her shot struck the target, sending it flying backward in flames. Nathan watched the battlefield from a command post. He guided the Zari troops, sending them where they were needed most. His maps were marked with red lights, showing where the swarm was strongest. "They're pushing toward the fuel depot," he warned. Selen and his team of Zari mechs rushed to stop the attack. The machines clashed with roars and explosions. Selan's mech was hit, but he stood up again and fired back. "This is our home," he shouted. "We do not run." The turning point came when a new swarm ship entered the sky. It was massive, larger than anything they had seen. It began to drop more machines and fire red beams at the land below. "That's their command unit," Nathan said. "Take it out." "And we stop this." "I'll do it," Lily said. She turned the Odyssey toward the ship. "Buy me time." Ethan nodded. "Everyone, protect the Odyssey. This is our chance." The ground forces pushed back hard. Claire used the last of the energy to power up a beam cannon. It fired a thick line of light that cut through a swarm wave. Selen and the Zari mechs stood shoulder to shoulder, holding the line. Lily flew straight toward the giant ship. The sky was full of enemy fire. She dodged, rolled, and pushed forward. Alarms rang. The Odyssey shook. Still, she kept going. "Almost there," she said. The command ship opened a large gate. A swarm flyers poured out, but Lily was faster. She flew through the gate and dropped a set of fusion bombs inside the heart of the ship. Then she pulled up hard and flew away as fast as she could. A moment later, the sky turned white. The explosion ripped through the air. The swarm ship broke in half and crashed into the valley. All across the battlefield, the other machines stopped. They froze, then fell, their lights going dark. Cheers rose from the shelter. The Zari shouted in joy. The humans hugged each other, their faces dirty and tired but full of pride. Ethan looked at the sky. "We did it." Selen stood beside him. "You saved us." "No," Ethan said. "We stood together. That's what saved us." Over the next days, the Zari began to rebuild. The galaxy watched. Other species who once turned away now sent messages. They offered help, support, and respect. News of the battle spread fast. Across space, people spoke of Earth. Of the Deathworlders who answered a call, no one else would. They were no longer seen as just survivors. They were leaders. Ethan and his team stood before the Zari people. Selen raised his hand. "These are our friends, our brothers and sisters in fire. We will never forget." Claire smiled. "This isn't the end. If others need help, we'll go," Nathan added. "The swarm may return, but we'll be ready. Next time, we won't stand alone." Lily looked at the stars. The call went out to all, and we were the ones who answered. And the galaxy would never forget it.